Welcome to Daily 5 for Tuesday, March 19th, 2024. You have likely seen at least some type of news story or maybe some online discussion about the recent breakdown between former CNN anchor Don Lemon and current Twitter owner Elon Musk over apparently some kind of oral agreement they had for Lemon's new interview series to be distributed exclusively over on Twitter. And the first interview, as far as I understand it in that series, was between Lemon and Musk, and Lemon apparently asked some questions that Musk was not very happy with. And shortly after that interview concluded, both parties confirmed that that oral agreement, that verbal contract, I guess it wouldn't be a verbal contract, that verbal whatever they had was null and void, and that the show would no longer be distributed on Twitter. Lemon has since said that it'll just be on YouTube, so I don't think there was anything that would have prevented him in the beginning from putting his show other places. I think this is just something that apparently they just were talking about and said, yeah, that's a great idea. And, I really don't even care about the interview. I'm not going to watch it. Most of the particulars of the story itself are completely beneath my need to pay any attention to, but I have been fascinating that there's still two groups of people who are getting upset over stuff like this. And, obviously Musk has his defenders and, Lemon does as well. And I suppose that there may be a small group of people who only hang out on Twitter that really like Don Lemon, and I guess they would be upset over this, but the rest of it has really been people who are still lamenting the fact that Twitter is dead. I mean, really, once it changed names, to me, that was the very end of the line. But there are still people who are, I think, desperately hoping that Twitter will go back to what it was before Musk acquired it. And obviously, at this point, the predictions that it was going to fail haven't happened. Musk is, at least in some way, determined to keep it going in some capacity. And the other group of people who are still trying to criticize Musk by pointing out that he's being hypocritical about his approach to free speech. You know what? To these two groups of people, if any of you are listening, it's time to move on. It's time to get past this. The days of Twitter as it existed as a, quote, public square, they're over. And honestly, it never really did exist as a public square. There was this perception of it that way, largely because it was really bad at moderation. The guardrails, such as they were, did not work that well. And so what you had was a very Wild West place where people could quickly and briefly express thoughts. Those thoughts did have some public influence. They were a news-generating website for a lot of people. And so there was this idea that it was some kind of online public square, but it never really was. This was never some kind of public utility, something like NPR or wherever, where there was some kind of public side to it. It was always a company that just couldn't make any money and didn't know how to really regulate its content properly. And so it existed as this weird, public square is the wrong term for it, but it did exist in a different way than most other social media platforms. But that wasn't because it was ever really the public square that some people seem to imagine that it was. It just didn't do its job very well most of the time. And don't get me wrong, I loved the old version of Twitter, while recognizing it had a lot of problems. But I loved it before Musk bought it. I thought it was a great service. I was at one point thinking to myself, I don't need anything else. Twitter is where I can just stay and everything else can just kind of evaporate. And then Musk bought it. And of course, everything that's come after that. And as far as Musk's hypocrisy, I'm sorry. Have you not been paying attention? We are well past that first 3 months where I think some people actually thought that Twitter might change Musk or that Musk would keep Twitter much the way that it was. There was this brief period where I think people had some hope that one or the other of that version of that would happen. But we're well past that now. Musk is just doing the same thing he's always done. Twitter is now a different site with a different name, which I'm not going to say because it's so stupid, but really, that was the end of the line. Anybody who's sitting there going, oh, this is the final nail in the coffin of Twitter as it was, that coffin was tossed overboard and shot full of holes a long time ago. So again, my advice to anybody who is still sticking around thinking that Twitter is going to revert back to what it was, or that Musk will have some, miracle moment where he looks in the mirror and plumbs the depths of his soul and realizes that perhaps he is not the great savior he thinks he is. Just get past it. You're not doing yourself any favors. I've got a really nice, simple, free mental health tip for you. Give up on it. Move on. Find something else because Twitter is never going to be what it was and Musk's not changing anytime soon. So do yourself a favor and stop caring. Later.